Nicola Sturgeon.
Woo!
Boom.
Great pun from producer Laura.
It is actually a fantastic pun. It just doesn't really translate to being spoken out loud. It looks good on the page. The SNP, 100% hit rate of getting their former First Ministers arrested. You love to see it. This guy, every single editorial conversation we have about Scotland, he's like, look, I don't want people to think I'm a Yoon. I don't want people to think I'm a Nat. And I say that line and he can't resist laughing.
Yeah.
He cannot resist breaking down in laughter.
Will that make the edit?
Can we not have any discussion about whether I'm a Yoon or a Nat?
It's ambiguous. We don't have to talk about it. I've just said, we don't know which either you are.
No, what can I say to like make sure this isn't in?
What will they do to you
Just
if you
lie
go
about
back
something.
up there and they find out?
It's just like not even worth it because like indie Twitter is just so fucking toxic. You have like weird.
You've already got random people accusing you of being the son of a genocidal war criminal because we made one joke about you being Alistair Campbell's son.
Yes, which I'm not.
And people still think you are.
People still think you are.
My mum really thinks you. I'm not correcting her. No, my mum's like, you hear what Alice's kid said the other day? She's like, strange, isn't it, how he's that Scottish?
My friend from uni had another friend from uni message her to clarify whether or not I was Alistair Campbell's son recently. I made a rod for my own back by making a funny joke.
It was funny.
I think it was funny.
Well,
he
fell for
didn't
it.
find it funny.
He didn't find it funny.
Your dad didn't find it funny.
Christmas is going to be awkward this year.
So having experienced the sort of Tony Blair war criminal side of Twitter, you're not wanting to delve into Nats and Yoons.
You should come over to Dick Pic Twitter. That's where I am.
What? Because you follow so many dick pic accounts.
Oh, I get sent so many penises.
It's just absurd.
And there's no... Actually, no, I got sent quite a nice one the other week, and I actually was surprised.
Stop it
no,
right
I
now.
was surprised because if you knew how horrendous the dicks are, it's always the same. Look at this microphone muff. It's like that, and then there'll be like a tiny bit of like cocktail sausage out the bottom. You're shocked. I open them at 6 a.m. I don't ask for them.
No.
We should probably like put a disclaimer like, don't send David dick pics.
No, send them to Ollie.
And his number is...
Oh, fucking hell. Should we try and talk about Nicola Sturgeon?
No.
She's downstairs.
She's in the Nick downstairs. You said it about Thatcher.
Is she dead? Didn't know that.
So obviously, look, the Scottish contempt of court laws preclude us from really being able to talk about this case in any kind of detail. But essentially, the story is £600,000 of funds raised for a second independence referendum campaign. That referendum campaign has not happened. Where has the £600,000 gone? They don't know. They arrested Nicola Sturgeon. She was questioned for 7 hours. It's mad, actually. Just thinking about it now. You sort of Boris out of Parliament, Jeremy Corbyn kicked out of his party, largely sort of ostracised by the Labour Party. Nicola Sturgeon arrested.
Lib Dem woman deselected.
Jo-
no, she wasn't deselected.
No, she lost
She lost the seat.
There was
Lost the
an
seat.
unbelievable tweet from a Lib Dem councillor being like, and it was essentially like, Boris Johnson, don't need to say anything. Corbyn, don't need to say anything. Sturgeon, arrested. Someone else, resigned in disgrace. Oh, was Caroline Lucas the Green leader at the
She
time?
didn't resign into disgrace.
She's an MP. She wasn't.
Just because he hates her, I don't. I love her.
Or whoever, but then he tweeted like a photo of Joe Swinson standing like that, like, I'm so proud of who I voted for to be Prime Minister.
Fuck off.
It was so
You're
good.
joking.
Fresh after listening to Super Bass,
Oh.
she stood there, power stance.
Campaigning for a statue of Thatcher.
Do you remember the yellow dresses? That's one thing that used to grate me. She had a lot
I'll be
of
honest,
yellow
Ava, I
dresses.
don't actually particularly remember what Jo Swinson was wearing during the 2019 election campaign. I was more interested in her ideas. And when I realised she had none, I started thinking about her bodycon dresses.
They were never bodycon.
Oh, weren't they?
Oh, weren't they?
Oh, weren't they?
What do I have?
Might as well have been for me.
Yeah.
The one that got away, Jo Swinson, fuck me, yeah. What was that? Repeal Brexit. Just nix it, kill it.
Is that what Nicola Sturgeon cheered at when she lost? Or who was it?
Yeah, it was Swinson, wasn't it?
Yeah, she was unseated.
She was like, yes!
I think the SNP's kind of fucked here, no?
Well,
Yeah.
Hamza Youssef says that he's not going to kick her out the party because he doesn't believe that she's done anything in conflict.
That's interesting because she fucking loved a little suspension for anyone in the SNP when there was a hint of impropriety. I'm thinking, what was the name of the old finance?
Hint of impropriety?
Derek
BT?
Mackay, former finance guy.
Derek Mackay.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, well,
being
I'm
double check.
sorry that you don't take sexual harassment seriously, Ollie.
No.
Or Margaret,
please.
Margaret Ferrier, who went on the train
she-
with COVID.
Yeah, she
What a
had the
twat.
whip draw. They were like, we need a by-election now.
Yeah.
They were so quick. For like, fair enough. That person should not be an MP anymore.
Honestly, though, it's tough for him. It's really tough for him especially because he's seen as the continuity candidate. I think, he's kind of he drank from the chalice, right? He drank from the sweet Nicola Sturgeon poison chalice. He saw the spider and he drank. He sculled it. It's
Spider?
Yeah,
I don't know that phrase.
Yeah, Sisyphus.
it's Winter's Tale. Leon.
Oh, excuse me. I thought it was Robert the Bruce.
I thought we could just keep saying
I have
things
drunk and seen
until
the
we don't know
spider.
where we are.
I don't know much about Winter's Tale.
Shakespeare. Never mind.
Who's that?
Hamlet.
What?
Yeah.
I tried to make it highbrow for like 5 seconds, and it's just fucking.
Spider. Spider-Man?
He saw the spider. He sculled it. He drank it. He swallowed it down. He was like, "Yummy, yummy, yummy. SNP corruption. I want to be. I want to be."
See,
I want
unless
to
you
be
know
leader of
anything
this
about
party.
Winter's Tale, this metaphor doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense. And I know nothing about Winter's Tale.
He's in trouble, and I think I've grown so used. This is obviously like a complete simplification and generalisation of Scottish politics, but I've grown in the last 10 years to think of the SNP as completely hegemonic in Scotland. And you actually look at the electoral map, and some of those seats are marginal. They are marginal, and 1%, 2%, 3% swing towards the Labour Party, you start seeing Labour pick up between 5 and 10, maybe more seats. Without that, and that was 2019. That's before all this stuff started kicking off. Scotland used to be so key to Labour's electoral coalition and building a majority.
Gordon Brown.
And without you love Gordon Brown today, and without the SNP being so having such a monopoly on Scottish constituencies, it does pave the way for the Labour Party to return to
The MRP polling that we went to the other week showed that most people, well, a lot of SNP voters felt the party had taken the eye off the ball, and they were only focusing on Indy Ref 2 rather than actually anything else. I don't think that's true, though. We've talked a lot about welfare, and
I think the amount of scandals there is in kind of like real amateur hour scandals in Scottish politics, or just like debacles like ferries. Like
I love the ferries. So.
Yeah.
The ferry stuff. Like that is.
You must love the ferries as a transport nonce.
what?
Yeah. Ava Shark Trains.
Sorry, Ed. I don't
Well, I'm not going to bring up my other ferry thing now.
For those unfamiliar, the SNP painted windows onto a ferry that wasn't ready yet, so that they could stand in front of it, right?
And actually,
Chris Grayling bought ferries that weren't usable at all. He had to sell them back.
two things
sell
are
them to the scrapyard.
two things are bad. Two bad things happened.
Yeah, but
That's not like a rebuttal.
no, it's
To be
not.
like-
It's just the ferries.
The RMT today have called for the Calmac ferries to be taken into public ownership. Today. A wee Mick Lynch update for everyone.
Por qué?
Because of their disastrous ownership of the ferries.
Por qué
Why?
no?
Because you can't see out the windows.
That's not. No, it's not just they don't have windows. The ferries aren't like saleable. It's not just that they don't have windows.
One of them's still.
They're not.
One of them's never been
watertight.
launched, right? One of them's
Yeah, I think
still
so.
in the dock. Only one started running.
Have you ever watched them launch a ferry?
No, Ava, I have not.
Sick.
Because I have other things I like to do in my free time.
Name one.
Read The Winter's Tale.
my love of Shakespeare takes precedence. Hopefully you mean like on YouTube. You don't mean going to watch the actual sailing of a ship.
Sure.
No. You haven't been to a ship launch. Surely not.
No.
Okay, fine.
I went to a cargo ship launch. Only because I was in the area.
Intentionally for the cargo ship launch.
Anyway.
I think I'm going to try and steer this conversation back onto something.
With no windows.
Windows or not.
Can't steer those ferries, can they? Not in the
Windows-
water, Ed.
Windows or not. there doesn't seem to be been much of a difference made to the appetite for Scottish independence, regardless of the fates of the SNP, which I think is interesting. I think
What?
the SNP
Explain that. Say that again.
polling for Scottish independence remains in that 40 to 60 window that has done since the last referendum. So I think it's interesting that even though the SNP's dip in fortunes they're not entwined. I think that's interesting, and I think it's maybe perhaps good for the indie movement that there isn't, that if the SNP are no longer or become no longer the vanguard of the proletariat for Scottish independence.
You say you don't want to talk about Nats and Nunes, and you're just baiting them.
Yeah.
You're baiting them so
None of
hard.
this is going to make it in. I know.
Immediately after,
Laura,
kill
could
the
you
whole,
take her? Yeah,
kill the
take
whole
her
Nicola
up.
conversation. I just don't want to touch that.
Should we
Don't want
just?
to touch that.
But-
My
but-
Twitter mentions can't
But I
handle
think,
that.
I think it's interesting. I think it's probably good, as in because lots of people don't like the SNP. Even like far left indie supporters don't like the SNP because it's not the indie that they would want. They wouldn't want like a centre left movement. They'd want a real radical socialist change. So I think it's interesting that it could regain the radical movement and momentum that it kind of had leading up to the 2014 referendum.
All right.
Just not buying it.
That fucking sucked, eh?
Fair enough.